My brother slept with my wife, and instead of cutting him off, my parents asked me to forgive him for the sake of family, then demanded I help support their new life together. They called it a fresh start. I called it the day I buried my family for good. Hey, I'm James. Just a guy in his late 20s trying to understand how the people who raised me could look me in the eye and still lie to my face. You know, I used to think we were one of the lucky families. Not because we had money, we didn't, but because we had each other. Mom, Dad, my little brother Ethan, and me. It wasn't perfect, but it felt close. Real. I was the kind of kid who picked up responsibility before I even knew what that word really meant. I got my first job at 16, handed over most of my paycheck to help with bills, and made sure the fridge stayed full even when times were tight. Ethan was different. Always smiling, always joking, always sleeping till noon. He had a charm that got him out of every trouble, even growing up. And my parents, they adored it. Called him their sweet boy, their miracle. Meanwhile, I was the one under the sink, fixing a leak or spending my Saturday repainting the porch because it looked like it might cave in. Still, I didn't complain. I believed that's just what you do when you love your family. You show up, you hold things together. So I kept showing up. Kept paying for things without being asked, from groceries to home repairs, period. Especially that house. The house I thought we were all building together. The place I saw as a kind of quiet thank you for everything we'd been through. I'd been helping with that mortgage for years. 5, to be exact, and I didn't ask for anything in return, not recognition, not praise, just respect. That was enough. Or, it used to be. Until one afternoon, out of nowhere, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. Something that made me realize everything I thought I knew about my family was wrong. And from that moment on, there was no going back. It happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon. One of those days where everything feels still on the outside, but something inside you starts to stir without knowing why. I was at my parents' house, the same house I'd been helping pay for since I was fresh out of college. I'd come by to drop off groceries and help Dad with his usual paperwork. They weren't exactly tech-savvy, and I'd gotten used to sorting their bills, scanning documents, and explaining things they couldn't wrap their heads around. It was normal, routine, until it wasn't. Dad handed me a small stack of papers, told me it was just bills and some tax stuff that needed scanning. I settled down at the old kitchen table, the one with that stubborn wobble I kept fixing over the years, and started feeding pages into the scanner one by one. Utility bills, a few medical receipts, some random insurance forms, nothing out of the ordinary. And then, just tucked between them like it was no big deal, I saw it. A cream-colored folder, neatly labeled in Mom's handwriting, estate plan and last will and testament. My stomach tightened. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't digging. It was just there, staring at me. I paused. My hands were literally scanning their financial lives. Was it really wrong to want to know what my years of effort had amounted to? I hesitated, but I opened it. I don't know what I expected. Maybe some kind of acknowledgement, something simple, like, to James who helped keep this roof over our heads. Something that would make all the unseen sacrifices feel like they mattered. But what I found felt like a slap. No, worse. Like someone had reached inside my chest and ripped out the last bit of hope I had for this family. Everything, the house I patched up year after year, the savings account I helped rebuild after Dad's surgery, the assets I had no idea they even had, it was all going to Ethan. Every single thing. I read it once, then again, thinking maybe I missed something, but there it was, plain as day. Ethan was named the sole beneficiary. Me? I was a footnote, a single sentence that said they loved both their sons equally. Equally, that word echoed in my head like a bad joke, because if this was what equal looked like, then I didn't want to know what unfair meant. I sat there for a long minute, the room suddenly colder than it had been before. My fingers were trembling slightly, holding this document that felt heavier than it should. It wasn't about money, nor really. It was about everything else, all the moments I showed up when no one asked me to. All the times I said yes when I wanted to say no. The time I canceled a trip with my girlfriend because Mom was sick and needed someone to take her to her appointment. The time I worked extra shifts just to help cover their mortgage when Dad lost his job. And Ethan? He still lived in the basement at 28, slept past noon most days, and spent more time playing video games than applying for jobs. The same Ethan who skipped my graduation because he forgot, who borrowed money he never paid back, who crashed my car and didn't even apologize. But somehow, he was the one they wanted to leave everything to. Not the son who held them up when things fell apart, but the one who dragged his feet while everyone else picked up the slack. And in that moment I realized something that cut deeper than anything I'd ever felt before. I wasn't their first choice. I wasn't even second. I was just convenient, useful, a placeholder until they didn't need me anymore. I'd spent years thinking I was building a foundation with them, thinking that love meant sacrifice, and effort, and loyalty. But now, I could see the truth. I'd been the scaffolding, holding up their world while they quietly planned to hand it over to someone who never even tried. My breath felt short. My eyes burned, not from tears exactly, but from the kind of pain that hits you in Wavern, the kind that makes your chest feel too tight and your skin too small. I gently put the folder back where I found it, smoothed the stack of papers like nothing had happened, and I walked out of that kitchen knowing something I couldn't unknow. My parents had already made their choice, and for the first time in my life, I was done pretending I didn't see it. I just stood there, frozen with the will still in my hands, heart pounding like I'd just been slapped across the face by the people I trusted most. My mind was spinning in every direction. How long had they planned this? Had they ever really appreciated what I'd done? Or had I just been some walking wallet to them all these years? I didn't even hear Dad come back into the room until he asked, real casual, "James, what's taken so long?" Like nothing had happened. I didn't even try to pretend. I just held the folder up and looked him straight in the eye, and I asked, "So this is how it is? Everything to Ethan after all I've done?" My voice was low, calm even, but underneath I was boiling. For a second Dad's face changed. He looked pale, like he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, but then he sighed like I was overreacting. "James, it's not what you think," he said, eyes not even meeting mine. "Not what I think?" I laughed, bitter and short. "I laid it all out right there. I've been paying your mortgage, buying your groceries, fixing your house, and you're giving it all to the guy who can't even hold down a job?" He didn't say anything, just stood there, like he'd rather be anywhere else. Then he muttered, "It's complicated." That was it. No explanation, no apology, just some lazy excuse for tossing me aside. I wasn't having it. I called Mom in because I needed to hear it from both of them. She walked in, saw the will in my hands, and the guilt was written all over her face before she said a word. But her words? Somehow, they made it worse. "James, honey, you don't need the inheritance," she said, like she was doing me a favor. "You've got a good job, you're independent. Ethan, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's okay." That's when something snapped inside me. They weren't even trying to pretend anymore. They'd spent years babying Ethan, and now they were flat out rewarding him for being useless. Meanwhile, I'd been the one holding everything together, and apparently that didn't count for much. I set the will down slowly, trying to keep my voice steady, but I knew it came out like ice. "Got it. Glad to know where I stand." Then I turned and walked out, ignoring their half-hearted "James, wait please," and slammed the door behind me. That was the last time I stepped foot in their house. No more calls, no more texts, no more me rushing in to save the day. If the roof leaked, they could patch it. If the fridge was empty, they could go shop. And if the mortgage payment was due, not my problem. I didn't hear from them for 2 weeks, not a word. I think they figured I'd cool off, crawl back like always, maybe even apologize for daring to speak the truth, but I wasn't that guy anymore. I'd given them everything, my time, my money, my effort, and they'd made it clear I wasn't worth the same in return. Then, out of the blue, a text from Dad. "Property taxes are due." That's it. No, "Hey, how are you?" No, "Sorry for leaving you out of the will." Just a straight-up expectation that I'd pick up the tab, like always. I almost laughed. I replied, "I'm sure Ethan's got it since the house is his." 5 minutes later, Mom called. I didn't pick up. Then came her text. "James, please don't be like this. We need to talk." Now they wanted to talk? Now that their bills were stacking up? I waited an hour before replying just to make sure I wasn't responding out of anger. Then I wrote, "There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Live with it." I figured that'd be the end of it, but nope. Ethan had to jump in too. His text was so smug it made my skin crawl. "Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like always." I couldn't believe the nerve. "Not a big deal?" I shot back, "No, you've got it covered, since you're the favorite." His reply came fast. "Oh my God, are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man, it's just money." "Just money?" That's rich coming from someone who never earned a cent of it. I replied, then you won't mind paying the mortgage with it, right? He went quiet, totally silent. Then Mom tried again, pulling out the oldest trick in the book. Guilt. James, we're your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up, and now you're abandoning us? Abandoning them? After all the years I made sure they never went without, after they planned to give everything to the son who gave nothing? I typed back, you made it clear I'm not family when you left me out of the will. Ethan can handle it. That's when Dad stepped in again with a text that sent me over the edge. We're not asking for much, just enough to cover the mortgage for a few months. Don't be selfish. Selfish. That's what they called me after everything I'd given. I replied, no, I'm done. Then I turned off my phone and let the silence speak for itself. But of course they still didn't stop. The next morning I woke up to a bank transfer request, $3,500.00 from Mom, the exact amount of the mortgage. No message, no apology, just an attempt to sneak it out of me like I was still their personal piggy bank. I declined it immediately. 5 minutes later, another call. I ignored it. Then the text came. James, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it? I answered, it's not my job. Ask Ethan. She fired back, we're going to lose the house if you don't help. Oh? Now it was an emergency? I replied, maybe you should have thought about that before deciding I didn't matter. That's when Dad finally dropped the big one. You're really going to let your parents go homeless? I laughed out loud at that one. They weren't poor, they just didn't want to touch their own savings because they'd gotten too used to me fixing everything. I ignored it. But that night, Ethan couldn't help himself. One more text. Dude, just send the money. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. And I answered, you mean the money you're inheriting? Pay it yourself. His last reply, you know I don't have that kind of cash right now. And that's when I said the one thing I'd wanted to say for years. Figure it out, bro. You're the one they chose. He didn't reply after that. The next day, things exploded. I was at work halfway through answering emails when my phone rang. It was the front desk at my apartment building. The receptionist's voice was hesitant, almost apologetic. James, your parents are here. They're downstairs. They said it's an emergency and you're not answering their calls. I almost dropped my phone. They showed up? At my building? Because I stopped paying their bills? I took a breath, trying not to lose it. Don't let them up, I said. I'm not expecting them. She hesitated. They're being kind of pushy. I didn't care. Tell them to leave. 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. We're downstairs. Open the door. No apology, no explanation, just another demand. Then another. We're not leaving until you talk to us. I snapped. I grabbed my keys and stormed downstairs, furious. I wasn't scared. I was done. I was sick of the manipulation, the guilt trips, the constant taking. I flung the door open and there they were, Mom, Dad, and Ethan, standing outside like they were staging some kind of dramatic family intervention. Mom had that familiar arms-crossed stance, her eyes full of fake disappointment. Dad stood stiff, hands shoved in his pockets, not even looking at me. And Ethan? He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, like missing a nap, for this was the real tragedy. Mom opened her mouth the second she saw me. James, finally, we need to talk. I didn't move from the doorway. No, I said, you need to leave. You don't get to show up at my home and demand money. That's insane. Dad let out this frustrated scoff. You're really going to let us lose the house over a petty grudge? I laughed, and it was sharp. Petty grudge? You mean the one where you decided I was only good for paying bills but not good enough to include in your will? Mom gasped like I'd just slapped her, clutching her chest like she was the victim. James, that's not fair, she said. We did what was best for the family. No, I said, calm now. You did what was best for Ethan. Just say it. And for a moment, nobody spoke. It was quiet, in that way that only happens when the truth is standing right in the center of the room and no one wants to look at it. Ethan finally mumbled, Look, man, I don't even want to be involved in this. I didn't ask for any of this. I turned to him, eyes locked. No, you didn't ask. You just took. Like you always do. You're 28, Ethan. Get a job. His face turned red. Dude, what the hell? I stepped forward. You want the house? Act like a homeowner. You want to be the golden child? Pay the damn bills. I'm not your bank anymore. He looked away, like the sidewalk suddenly became the most interesting thing he'd ever seen. Mom jumped in with her classic guilt trip. James, he's your brother. Yeah, I said, nodding. And I've supported him more than either of you ever have. Dad's expression shifted. his voice low and angry. "You're being selfish." I laughed again, harder this time. "Selfish? You left me out of the will and expected me to still clean up your mess. You betrayed me and now you want me to pretend nothing happened?" Mom's voice turned cold. "We thought you'd be mature about this." I tilted my head. "Mature? You mean keep paying your bills and stay quiet while you stab me in the back? That's not maturity, that's stupidity." Dad took a step closer, trying to use that old parental tone he used when I was a kid. "James, we raised you, fed you, clothed you. The least you can do is help us now." I looked at him, calm and steady. "I did. For years, I gave you everything I had, and you repaid me by cutting me out like I was a stranger." Mom's voice wavered. "We thought you'd understand." "I do," I said. "I finally understand. I was never your son, just your safety net." The silence that followed was different this time, heavier. Final. I turned to Ethan. "And you? What's your excuse? You had years to grow up, but you didn't. Because you knew they'd protect you. And when they're gone? You thought I'd pick up the slack, didn't you?" Ethan's face twisted. "What do you want me to say? I didn't ask for this." I nodded slowly. "Right. You just benefited. That's what you do." He had no answer. None of them did. Mom tried one last time. "James, we're family. Family takes care of each other." I stared at her for a long second, then said, "Exactly. So why didn't you take care of me?" That shut her up. No comeback. No fake tears, just silence, and for the first time in a long time I felt free. "We're done here," I said. Then I turned around, walked back inside, and closed the door behind me. My hands were still shaking, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was power. As I walked up the stairs, my phone buzzed. A message from Dad. "Wow. After everything we've done for you, you're abandoning us?" I stared at it, smiled, and typed back, "No, you abandoned me. I'm just finally accepting it." Then I hit send and blocked their numbers for good. Blocking them didn't stop the chaos, it just shifted it online. Less than 24 hours after I shut that door and cut off contact, my phone started blowing up with screenshots from friends. My parents, who could barely figure out how to check their voicemail, suddenly became Facebook warriors. Mom posted some dramatic status with a blurry picture of a sunset saying, "I didn't raise my son to be selfish. True family helps each other no matter what." Then came the comments I got on my friends of hers I hadn't seen since I was 10, chiming in, calling me ungrateful, saying things like, "Kids these days don't know sacrifice," or "How could he do that to you?" Dad's post? He used a picture of me from college and wrote, "So-called family shouldn't turn their back when you need them most. We gave everything to our kids, and this is how we're repaid. My son, who should be helping us in our golden years, has abandoned us." And to top it off, he tagged me with a snide little comment. "Hope you're happy." But the final straw was Ethan, who couldn't keep his mouth shut for 5 minutes, suddenly turning into the poster child for family values. He wrote, "Some people think family's about money. They don't get that it's about love and sacrifice. I'd do anything for my parents, but some people are too wrapped up in themselves. I wish they'd learn what family really means." I read it and just sat there, jaw clenched, my hands trembling. After everything I had done, after all the years I had spent keeping their lives from falling apart, they were painting me as the villain, the one who worked overtime to cover their bills, who gave up weekends to fix broken cabinets, who missed vacations to help them get through tough times. I was the one who stepped up, not Ethan, not once, and now I was the ungrateful son who turned his back on love? I didn't lash out, I didn't fire back right away. I waited. I let it sit for a couple days. Let them think I was going to stay quiet while they built their fantasy. But I couldn't let their lies stand. So I opened my laptop, logged into Facebook, and wrote the truth. Not for revenge, but for peace. I wrote, "I've been quiet, but I can't stay silent anymore. My family's been posting lies about me, saying I'm selfish for not helping them. Here's the real story. Since I was 16, I've been the one paying their bills, buying groceries, fixing their house. I gave everything. My money, my time, my energy, but I found out that in their will they left it all, the house, the money, every last bit to my younger brother Ethan. Not 1 cent for me, not even a thank you. I watched them favor him year after year while I was expected to keep giving without even the smallest sign of respect. Family is a two-way street. They made it clear I was only their backup plan. A wallet, and I'm done playing that role. I'm a person. I deserve better. I kept it simple, honest, direct. Then I added, Ethan is 28. He's never worked a full-time job, never paid a single bill. My parents enabled that, and now they've chosen to reward it. They made him their golden child. Fine, let him carry the weight now. To everyone siding with them, just know, there are two sides to every story, and this is mine. I've given enough. I hit post and logged out. The next morning, there were dozens of messages, some shocked, some apologetic, and yes, a few still trying to guilt me. But I didn't respond. I didn't have to. The truth was out there, not twisted, not buried under drama or guilt, just real. And it felt like the first time in a long time that I could finally breathe. They say blood is thicker than water, but that only matters if it flows both ways. Mine stopped flowing a long time ago. And now? Now, I'm done pretending it still means something. They made their choice, I made mine, and I don't regret it.